Hello friends, welcome back to Pen and Paper YouTube channel. Here we simplify complex legal topics using just pen and paper. So today's topic is how to write a legally valid will in India and the step-by-step guide for this. So also we will be discussing personal laws, variations and the governing laws like the Indian Succession Act 1925. So let's begin. So now we will be understanding what is a will. So basically a will is your final voice which is going to activated only after a person's death. So basically it's a legal declaration of a person's wishes regarding the distribution of their property after their death. So this is going to be activated only after the death and this is what we have seen is the testator's death. So once it is going to happen, so a will is going to be activated, and this is been defined under section 2H of the Indian Succession Act 1925. So now let's try to understand this with an example. So Mr. Sharma is there and Mr. Sharma wants his daughter to inherit his flat. So basically there is a flat Mr. Sharma is going to have. So after Mr. Sharma's death, the flat is going to daughter and the business is going to son. So if in case Mr. Sharma has written a will, so this is going to happen. So again, if there is no will, there might be situation arising between son and the daughter and Mr. Sharma's wife regarding the assets. So the person when he is alive, he can create a will and which is going to come to effect only after the testator's death. So basically the testator means the person who has written the will. So he is going to be called as the testator. And if in case a person has died without writing a will, is going to be called as intestate. So now we will understand who can make a will. So any person who is above 18 years of age and who should be with a clear mind and so these people can make a will. So the act of the writing a will should not be like in pressure or coercion or fraud. This should be done voluntarily and in case if there are any kind of pressure or the force or the coercion is being used, so that will can be challenged in the court of law. So a person who is above the 18 years of age with a sound mind. So, with his own will, there is no coercion or the fraud or the pressure from anyone. So then he or she can make a will. So now understand with an example. So there is Mrs. Fatima who is 65 years of age and she is going to write a will that gold is going to be her granddaughter. So she has gold. So this is going to be her granddaughter and if she was pressured while she was writing the will, so that can be challenged in the court of law. So make sure that the will, the person who is going to write, it should be voluntarily. There shall be no force, there is the coercion or the fraud, and the person who is above 18 years of age, he must be sound mind. So then a will can be written by such person. So now friends, we need to also see few of the scenario. So what is going to make a will which is legally valid? To make a will legally valid, the will must be written document. This is very important. And then it needs to be signed by the testator. So the person who is going to write a will, he need to sign the will. Also, there has to be two witnesses present, and they also need to uh, enclose the acknowledge with their signature that these are the two witnesses. And then there has to be the clear intention and the voluntary execution. So we need to be very careful while somebody is writing a will or you are going to write a will in any point of time. So it should be the written document. It should be signed by the testator, the person who is going to write the will, and the will needs to be attested by the two witnesses. So this has been governed under Section 63 of the Indian Succession Act 1925. So if there are no witnesses, that will cannot be enforced, and there should be the clear intention to write the will, and the execution of the will should be voluntarily made by the testator. So now we will try to understand this with an example. There is Mr. D'Souza who is going to write his will and then he is going to sign it. He has written a will in a document. He has also signed it and gets two neighbors to witness the will. So whenever that will is been challenged, so those neighbors uh, will be the witness and they can tell in the court that they were present during the execution of the will. So this is going to be the legally sound under the section 63 of the Indian Succession Act 1925. Very simple. So now we will try to understand this scenario with the personal laws and wills. So what is the key differences between the personal laws in India? So under the personal laws for Hindus, Buddhists, Jains and Sikhs, so all are going to be governed under the Indian Succession Act 1925 and Hindu Succession Act 1956. So likewise, for Muslims, it is going to be governed by the Muslim personal law, that is Wasiyat rules. And lastly, we have Christians and Parsis. So again, these two are going to be governed under the Indian Succession Act 1925. So basically, personal law is going to shape your will. So for example, there is Mr. Raj, who is a Hindu, and he can will away all his property to anyone. So likewise, under Muslim law, there is Mr. Ahmad. He can only will one third of the property if in case if he has legal heirs like wife, children, like that. So in case unless it is going to be contested, so he can only will one third of his assets. So now if in case there is any Christians and Parsi who is going to follow the Indian Succession Act for their wills. So this is very much easy and very much clear. So now next what we will see is how we can write a will which is with the step-by-step process. So the first aspect here is the title of the will. So you need to mention last will and testament of your name. For example, if you're Raj, if you're Ahmad or D'Souza, likewise you will be putting your name. So why we are putting last will? Because if in case any will before this date are going to be, this will is going to supersede all the previous wills. So likewise, last will and testament of Raj, for example. So the second aspect here under the will is you need to declare your age, sound mind, and your voluntary intention to the write the will you are going to write. So this is the second aspect. So the third one is you are going to appoint an executor. So this is very important. It might be your brother, your lawyer, or your neighbor, anyone. Make sure to appoint executor who is going to produce this will after your death. So the next one is the details of the assets. What assets you have, how many flats, houses, what are the bank accounts, gold, jewelry, and all those things. So this you are going to include even though if there are any LIC policies or life insurance policies. So those also you are going to declare. And then the important point is who is going the beneficiary under a will. For example, if there are Raj is going to have three children along with his wife, how much the three children and his wife is going to get. So these details, who are the beneficiaries and what are the shares under the testator's assets. The most important, the testator. Here, for example, is the Raj. He need to sign along with the date when he is going to execute because he has mentioned this is going to be the title last and the testament of Raj. So any will before to this is going to supersede, and then there is going to be the witness and signatures. Very important. So the testator is going to sign along with the date, and the witness is also going to be signed, and the appointment of the executor who is going to be the executor of this will. So that details we are going to mention, and the details of the assets and beneficiaries who are all the legal heirs and what shares they are going to get. So friends, now I think we came to know the important details under the will, but now the important aspect here is the executor. So now we will see who is an executor. So here the executor is the person who is going to be the responsible for carrying out the will. So especially they are the one who is going to carry out the will until the death of the testator who has written the will. And next point, the executor can be anyone, maybe your family member, your friend, or your lawyer. And the executor need to be trustworthy because the person, the testator, he is going to have trust on him. Considering that, so he should be trustworthy, and the executor need to be younger than age comparing to the testator. If in case uh, Mr. Patel is there and who is going to appoint an executor, so the executor need to be younger than Mr. Patel here. So again, we will try to understand this. So there is Mr. Patel who is going to appoint his daughter as executor to distribute the assets what he is going to write in his will. So she is going to handle the paperwork like probate under the Indian Probate and Administration Act. So there is also one more act which is going to be the we need to follow this one. So the executor need to probate under the Indian Probate and Administration Act 1881. So this is very important. So when the question comes to who is an executor, so he is the person who is going to be responsible for carrying out the will. He might be your family member, your friend, or your lawyer, and he need to be trustworthy and younger comparing age to the testator. So now we will be discussing the next aspect here. Should you register a will? So now we will be understanding whether we need to register a will which a person has written. So basically registration is optional. It is not mandatory under the that is the Indian Registration Act 1908. So basically if someone is going to register a will, so it is going to add the weightage, the legal weightage to that will, and it is going to add the authenticity. So if it is already registered, a copy of that is there in the registration office, so it is going to add the authenticity that the testator only has written this, and it is going to reduce a lot of disputes in future. Also, it can be registered a will at the sub-register office. So these are the important points regarding the registration of a will, and uh, we will understand again with an example. So there is a person, Mr. Joseph. So he is going to register his will under Indian Registration Act, that is 1908. So he's going to register this at the sub-registrar's office, and this is going to resolve a lot of future family dispute which are going to arise between the legal heirs. Somebody may tell the executor is having a fake will, so why is coming now? The will has been not registered. So to overcome all these the future dispute, so the registration of a will is necessary, which is going to add a legal weight. So now we will understand, can you change or cancel a will which you have already written? So basically, yes, we can change or cancel a will at any point of time because life keep on changes, and so a person's will is also going to be changed. So for example, if there is a will which has already been written, so you need to write a latest will which is going to override the previous one, and also you need to make sure to destroy the old copies. If in case somebody has given to any executor, so that copy also need to be written back and need to destroy to avoid the future confusion which is going to happen. So the will you can just write through a new will or a that is the codicil, which is governed under the Indian Succession Act 1925, and the latest one is going to be the override and the superseding will, and need to destroy the old copies. So we will understand through one example now. So there is Mrs. Meena who is going to write a new will after her son's marriage. So there was an old will which she has written before her son's marriage, and now she has written a new will. So the new one cancels the old one, and she need to reach out to the executor to whom she has given the old will, and she also need to take care of the destroying to avoid the mix-ups and future confusions. So now we will be understanding the common mistakes to avoid. So basically, if in case a person has written a will, if there is no witness, so that is also going to be the mistake, and the will is not valid, and vague asset description. For example, if in case here we have seen Mrs. Meena who has written a new will after her son's marriage, maybe she has bought two more houses or flat. So that also she need to uh, write in the latest will so that there shall be no confusion regarding the assets. And Miss Meena cannot just simply say I have the houses, and few houses are going to be my son and remaining to my daughter. This is a vague asset description in the will, so that is also going to be a confusion. And if in case we have multiple wills, we need to make sure which is the one which is going to be the effective one, the latest one, and we need to make sure to inform the executor. So if in case the new will or the latest will, if we haven't informed to the executor, he's going to presume that the will what has been given to him is going to be the latest one and there are no changes. So accordingly, we need to make sure to follow it. And so this was the presentation from the Pen and Paper YouTube channel. If this guide is going to help you and you understand wills better, give a like, share, with your family, and also subscribe for more legal explainers. And we will meet in our next video. Thank you.